Wowee, it's up. Have a look at the beauty. What a beautiful sail. It's just hardly any wind, but that's how I like it. And I don't know whether I've jagged it or a few things are wrong, but it seems to be controlled all right. Hello viewers, my name is Jens Peck and this is my YouTube channel Full Spinnaker Ahead. It's all about living aboard and sailing, adventures with Toucan 2, my 46-foot aluminium sailing catamaran. I can't believe it, hey? That's amazing. After all these time of thinking about it, it's finally happened. I've owned Toucan 2 for 2 years and 8 months and lived on board all that time. Diagnosed with cancer about the same time as purchasing my dream boat. Juggling the medical requirements of my cancer, we've managed to sail down and up the east coast of Australia, over to Tasmania and back, and around the Gippsland Lakes of Victoria, Australia, my home port. No stranger to doing things solo and DIY, with renewed standing rigging, well repaired cracks in the hull, realigned the engines, sail repairs, replaced the mainsails, water tanks, re-scun, the list will go on. I've learned a lot and I still have a lot to learn. One thing that hasn't changed is the desire to sail Toucan 2 as far around this planet as I can, bringing you, the viewers, that story. I'm making this title page up in Airlie Beach after a 5-week bout of the shingles. Yep. Yeah, we found a deep spot. Shingles is a viral infection and I had it for 5 weeks. I was seriously sick for 5 weeks and it was an eye-opener, and I realised how vulnerable I could be being immune compromised. So I'm making a change in plans and making a base down south where I could work and place where I could seek the medical help more easily if I should fall ill again. A slight delay in my plans, but one that I think will work. Yeah, g'day. I've spent a lot of time in this bed over the last 5 weeks. The catch cry of my YouTube channel, Full Spinnaker Ahead to Your Dreams, because you never know what's around the corner, now has a lot more meaning after having shingles. It's the rewards of boating life that make it all worthwhile. Over the blue seas of the east coast, Toucan glides, taking us to places that we dream of in lullabies. Full spinnaker ahead to your dreams. It looks like a cover plate, yeah? Put all your batteries on it, put the cover plate over the top. The Century battery. Have a look at this side. This is it. This is what we bought. So we got we've had trouble with the last quite a few months now where the battery just hasn't been charging up and holding as much power, and on this trip we ended up finding we had to turn the freezer and the fridge off a bit at night just to keep them above 10.8 volts. So I had to dig into the pocket and buy these batteries. Ended up getting a pretty good deal at $814, I think, as opposed to some other shops with the same battery charging like $1,300. Found there was a huge need for a bit of research and a bit of hunting around. So Eventually got these batteries from Sydney. A bit of mucking around with the Sydney chaos, and now we've got them, so we're just putting them on the boat. Take the old ones out. We've got to try and work out who will take the old ones. We've got a few options, and see how it all goes. We'll probably have ample power, because I bought an extra battery, because the old batteries are rated at 330 amp hours and these are rated at 270 amp hours, but apparently the old giant batteries are overrated, like straight out of the factory at 330, where these batteries, they reckon they rate them at 1 year old. But you know, these are the sort of promotional type specs and descriptions you get from people when they're trying to sell you something. So I suppose the proof will be in the pudding when we actually put them in and use them. That's it. Okay, here we are, Roses Bay on a pontoon jetty. Very calm at the moment, and we're going to transfer the batteries onto Toucan. But before we do that, I've just got another one of those descriptive stories. I haven't got much footage other than the view of the pontoon and the aqueduct in the background. The previous week, Sydney had experienced about 3 or 4 days of pretty hefty wind coming from the southeast, and we were in the lee of it here, and Toucan was not parked on that side of the jetty, but it was on the other side. And I can remember looking back at that aqueduct and thinking, if that pumps out water and then we get a bit of surge in through the heads, we're going to get an awfully confused sea in here. But I didn't really react to it. So we did end up parking on there with another large expedition boat called Major Tom. He got off at about 2 AM because he woke up perpendicular to the jetty, and we didn't wake up until a bit later, and with banging and crashing of the boat against the jetty, it had pushed those fenders up and onto the jetty, so the actual bare hull was hitting against the jetty, and it was absolute mayhem. Sean jumped off onto the jetty. It was like a bucking bronco, and cast the ropes off, and we got away with that one, but with a few minor scarf marks on the hull. But that aqueduct out the back there was absolutely pumping water out from the rainfall that we'd had, and then also the surge coming in Sydney Harbour was huge, like the swell would have from this big storm. And although it wasn't directly coming into Rose Bay, it was the remnants of it were coming around the corner and creating this really confused sea, and we were rocking up and down and backwards and forwards, and it was mayhem. And I think it was worth telling you what happened. So I've always got this thing where you need to react to your thoughts. Like I looked at that aqueduct strangely enough and I thought, oh, this could be a problem, but didn't stay away from the pontoon that night. I thought about it, but and then did nothing about it. So it just reinforces, you know, you should believe that these can happen, and just do a what if precaution, I think. I had a pretty, I suppose you would call it, anal approach to moving these batteries. They were 80 kilos each, so we just took it step by step, bit by bit, and we got them all in there, and did the same when we fitted them in inside and underneath that seat. Here we go again, more boat work. The outcome of this one's truly going to be beneficial to us after having to use the Jenny a fair bit to keep the batteries charged up to an acceptable level. So we removed panels, labelled cables, made diagrams of our connections, and then started to pull the battery cable apart, making sure we didn't strip any of the screws. Make sure that you've got that screwdriver on there nice and square and firm and got plenty of pressure, because you strip one of those little babies, and then you got to try and get it out with some other method, which will be just, it's so tight in there that it's not what you want to be doing. And finally, we got the the old battery cradle separated, and we started to fit the new batteries and refit the cradle around those batteries, which were exactly the same size, so we're really lucky there. Why is that sitting up? Got a torch there or something? Sean was doing the mod on the extra bit of battery cradle for the extra battery, and Felix was filming, which was so awesome. It's such an advantage when you've got a few extra people, especially to hold the camera and do those things, which I never did have before. That's got to go into 4, which is also negative. So all the negatives go together. We're going in parallel, so negative to negative, negative to negative just makes one big battery, and that's it. All 12 volt batteries, the whole with a 12 volt system. So we're laughing. Get a measurement across the back there. 4, 4, 4. Take that out first. So we put another long one in. 4, 4, and 4. If we hook up all the negatives, we don't have to worry about anything touching. You know what I mean? Like, you can just go.
The safety's a bit better.
Go. As soon as we hook up a positive, we've got the potential to. That's got to go to 6, which is right there. 6. That'll work good. Yeah, shouldn't it? Oh, fuck.
Fucking hell.
Why is it doing that?
Something must still just be drawing power.
Inverter. Finally, all the batteries are installed and we fired it up, and I can tell you the end result was really good. We could use the kettle when we wanted, saving gas. We could use the toaster whenever we wanted, saving gas as well, and then also we could use the microwave. Couldn't run all three at the same time, but you could probably run the toaster and the kettle, but we just generally run them separate anyway. But it just made a whole big difference to running the fridge and freezer as well. They just ran a lot better. Good decision. After finishing our electrical job, it was time to leave Sydney for Pittwater. The swell was up, as you can see by the crashing waves here from the previous storm. Out in the harbour was a couple of skiffs practicing in the extreme conditions. And come past the North Head and heading straight out to gain a bit of distance off the coastline for our northern passage up to Pittwater, just to stop getting that reverberation. The pilot boat come up alongside me on the starboard side, I think, just to let me know there was a cargo ship behind me, which I had missed. the headland into Pittwater, Cape Barrenjoey with its iconic lighthouse, the home of the television series Home and Away. On our way to Mooring Bay, where we spent the night, we watched the float plane land. In Mooring Bay, it's so named because there's so many moorings that you can't find a place to anchor. And Sean was saying, well, let's just get on one of the moorings, and I was a bit hesitant at first, and then I saw that boat over there with the ripped sail. I thought that's what happened to the last person that just jumped on a mooring, but another person said that's what you do, so we did it. Cape Barrenjoey from the other side. The next morning we left Pittwater and went round to Cape Barrenjoey and come up with a face on the cliff. It's an absolute beauty. It's got a mouth, a hooked nose, a little eye socket and some trees for hair. The water is brown and it's got a lot of debris in it from the extensive rains that we just had. This morning we took the dogs for a walk and we found some wild fruits, and it's called, I think, blueberry ash in the Pittwater area. In the Pittwater area of northern Sydney, and I'm just going to give them a go. I've done a bit of quick look at whether they are edible or not, and it seems they are, but we're going to take a precaution. So what I normally do is I normally just get a bit of the juice and just put it on the side. I just squeeze a bit out like that, get a bit of that happening, put it under my neck, under some sensitive skin, just see whether it burns or not, for starters. On the eyelid, but not in your eye, don't get your eye because your eyelid's pretty sensitive. Just smell it, smells alright, smells a bit like a plum, and just let that sit there for a couple of hours. And then the next step would be just, what I'm going to do is just put it on my tongue and see what it tastes like, and then have a little bit later on, just digest a little bit and see if that's any good, and then go from there. Yeah, so the eyelid test with the ash blueberries, or the blueberry ash, there was no soreness there or no soreness there. So I'm just going to split a little berry open and get it on my tongue. And see how that goes. Give that a couple of hours or whatever. Tastes alright. See how we go. The taste test was unsuccessful, and I wouldn't recommend doing it. It's probably not the right thing to do, but you do have a lot of time when you're sailing on a boat. Made an approach to Port Stephens at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. We approached from the south. We manoeuvred to line up on the sector light. It works when you see a white light, you're in the middle of the channel. When you see a red light, you're towards the left hand side of the channel, and when you see a green light, you're towards the right hand side of the channel. It works really good at night. Turned right and set anchor just off Jimmy's Beach. Take a overall start. Righto, so last night come into Port Stephens at about 9 o'clock at night, and we anchored on the northern side of the bay, just towards the mouth. Had a little bit of an incident go on. When the anchor goes down, if you just get the controls, you can see the this is called an anchor gypsy. It's got like anchor chain here, and you can facilitates a rope at the top here. This is the anchor control. It winds the anchor up and down. This is the handle. It's actually a manual retraction handle too, but it's also, main purpose for us is that if you turn it that way, this then spins. If you do it up, and that's for when you want to drop it, you spin it like that, and then when you do it up, you just give it a little tweak like that, and then it connects it so that it can drive it. So the initial thing to do when you drop the anchor is you go like that, and our anchor operator left it in there, this thing. But so what happens is when you go up to put the bridle back on, it turns like that, and you can see what happened. It hit the rigging, so that hit there and bent that whole thing. But it's not the only problem you get. Getting that out was very difficult and very unfortunate. But the friction mechanism in there is Toucans, and they just jammed on rock hard. We had to get three implements in there and a hammer to try and undo that, and it looks like it might be okay, and there's no damage done, so other than a bit of pride. So we can heal that, I hope. But we won't let it happen too early. Right, that's about it.